Good day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Tea and Chocolate. I'm Lauren Spaniello, and today I have a special guest, a visual artist and art educator, Jeanne Krabbendam. And today we're going to be talking about her journey in the art world and so much more. Thank you so much for joining me today, Jeanne.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So you reside in Vancouver now. So I'm wondering if you could just take us back a little bit to your roots.
Okay, well, I was born in the Netherlands, lived for a while in Northern Africa, in Tunisia, and then back to the Netherlands, and since 20 years now here in Canada.
Okay. And how did your story of art take shape earlier on in your life?
Yeah, well, you know, I always, as a child, already made things. When I would go to a children's party, I would make my own presents. It was also because we didn't have much money, but I also liked doing it. So that was already my thing. But as a child, so as a young woman, I was like 15 that I started working. The choices that we had were pretty limited as a woman. You had, like, you could be a nurse, a secretary, or maybe a teacher. So I decided I wanted to be a nurse. So, and I wanted to be a children's nurse, of course. I was 15, you know, like you think like animals or children. A bit silly. But anyway, I started as a nurse, and very soon I found out that I was much better drawing with them, painting with them, doing creative things than actually treating them. So helping them prepare for surgery or afterwards, or, you know, so I actually found out that there was something like art therapy. And I thought, that's it, that's for me. I never heard of it. It was never a choice for me. But I went after it and I took the courses. So I just worked and studied at the same time. I did it for a long time. And I became an art therapist a few years later and did that for 25 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. So then, you know, when you work as an art therapist, that is pretty heavy work because you're a therapist. You work with problems. You know, people don't come because they're happy. There's a problem. So they come with their load of things, and often they were younger people. And sometimes you got the wrong person in your room. You had to get the father or the uncle or actually the mom instead of the person that was there. And, you know, often it was pretty complicated and heavy. So when I had a chance to work in Canada for a year, I grabbed it and I thought, that will be it. And I can see how life is in Canada. I loved it. And so I did that here. And then I made the decision, when I really moved to Canada for good, then I just want to move with art and not with therapy. So I came here as an artist and started right away making art, having a studio, doing commissions, doing exhibits. I was right away pretty involved in the artwork. I worked hard on that. And but interestingly, I started teaching a little bit of art at my own studio and later in other places like university or other places. But I got people in my classes that actually needed the therapeutic part of art. And I don't mind. I actually like to use that still. So that became part of my daily life. I still do meet people in classes or one-on-one at my studio or in a larger setting like a workshop or a course that need more. They are in crossroads of life and they need art to help them heal. And the art is a great tool.
Yes, it's kind of an underutilized or perhaps a piece that's not so acknowledged.
Yeah.
Am I putting words in your mouth, or would you say that's accurate?
It's accurate. It is not acknowledged with words, but when people start thinking, they think like art is everywhere. When you think how people survived the last few weeks through movies, books, film, name it, it's all art. Art is our survival at the moment.
Yes.
People are signing up for visual art classes. They're doing coloring books. It doesn't matter. It can have all kind of shape.
Mm-hmm.
But art has always been and is still a way for people. It's not really said that way. People say, oh, okay, yeah, art is sort of an extra. try to imagine your life without any art. You know,
Oh,
my niece is on Instagram always showing pictures of her room, how she changes her room. Now she has one wall yellow, and then I hope she sees the movie because it's kind of fun. Because she takes areas of the room and she makes it look very artistic, like beautiful, like a
yes.
composition. And so I think, yeah, we use it way more, or we are way more nurtured by art around us than we actually always realize.
I want to come back to what you're saying, but there's one thing I wanted to go back to is the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you felt this desire and need to leave the art therapy behind in some way. Did I understand that properly?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
why was that?
Well, art therapy is a therapeutic job.
Yes.
You deal with tears, you deal with happiness, you deal with problems. And after 25 years, it
Oh,
just felt enough. It's happy. Um, it's good. It's lovely, and it's very rewarding. But it's happy. And I think I wanted a lighter life. And Canada was part of that. That life here is lighter. It's like outdoorsy. There's so much room here. People are so friendly. There's not so much rush. I come from a more high-paced environment in the Netherlands, and by being here, I could let go a little bit more. So that fit also to feel, yeah, I can do just art and not the therapeutic part of it.
so given that we're in British Columbia, have you seen the art being appreciated in the way that it really requires, like say comparison to the Netherlands?
It's different here. It's different. You can, yeah, it's not healthy to compare. When you immigrate, one of the
True.
big rules, do not compare.
Bad question on my part.
No, it is a very good question because people do compare, of course, and culture in Western Europe is not comparable to culture here. We have culture, but it's a total different culture here. It's not the old masters culture, and I don't need to miss it. I can always go back. Luckily, I can, and I actually organized my life so that I could go back because I do art tours in the Netherlands. I
Yes,
take people on tours and
yes.
I show them the museums and galleries. So that way, I get my nurturing, I get my fill. So that's great. But yeah, I sometimes miss the kind of appreciation that we see over there. But yeah, I live here. I'm Canadian now, plus Dutch.
We'll circle back to, with some of the things I heard you say, we'll circle back to the inspiration of art and kind of what's happening, today. But first I want to talk to you about your exhibits, your work, your gallery. You can find, for our viewers, you can find Jeanne at Jeanne Krabbendam, KRABBENDAM.com. And of course, I'm going to write that down, obviously. And you'll see all her work and inspirations and the incredible, workshops you can take for
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So there was an exhibit called Balance.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I love that, I mean, they're all amazing. There's so many stories within those, but what was inspiring to you to create that one, the
That's
Balance?
interesting because that's a very old one, eh?
Yes,
That's
it
from
is.
the 80s.
Yes, it is.
It ages me a little bit,
Yeah.
but I started painting balance after surgeries. I needed to get back in balance. I had been sick. And I made a few paintings called Balance. And I think I made 6. And I thought, okay, this series is done. And I started something else. The next series, like on my website, they are chronological. So you see the next series coming up. And I started painting those. But every now and then, I would go back to Balance and make number 8. And then I make number 12. And then I make number 15. I made a lot more Balance paintings than I thought I needed. So it was my own healing tool. Talking
Right,
about healing and art, eh? It
right,
just helped me to get back in balance.
right. I mean, that's timeless, that piece,
Haha.
you know.
Well, there's a whole bunch of them. It's a series.
Yes. I was reading that the book, The Little Prince. I love what you did with this. It's just genius. Where here you are, you take this little master tale, right? That I would encourage everyone to read because there's so many lessons in there.
Yeah.
And you focused on lively lessons. You called your exhibit Lively Lessons. Mm-hmm. And it was focused, you chose the friendship piece out of this book. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have always loved The Little Prince, and I always thought I want to do something with it. So to take lines out of the book and then translate it into abstract paintings is such an awesome challenge. It's so lovely because, yes, you can read the book, you can read it many times. I read it when I was 18. I didn't get it. I read it as a story. Then I read it again when I was 28 and I started to get it. And then I read it again later in life, and more, the older I got, the more I actually saw the different layers. There's so many layers in that book. So I wanted to get into those layers and get parts of the book out that I always loved. Now there is one part, for example, like many parts are wonderful, but one part is about a fox that the little prince meets, and the fox says, "Can you make me a friend?" And the little prince says, "How do I do that?" "Oh, then you have to come every day at the same time so I can make myself already happy before you come." You know, so that is such a wonderful symbolic story for how friendships actually work. Then you see each other always at the hairdresser, or you see each other always over coffee. There is a routine to friendship that helps you make yourself happy already before it happens. So, and then the friendship grows and grows, and then the fox says, "Do you see those wheat fields? I don't eat wheat. I don't care for wheat. But now I start to love wheat because it's the color of your hair." And then when they say goodbye, he starts crying, and the little prince says, "Now you get what you wanted. You wanted me to be a friend, and now you cry. What did you get for that then? Eh? What did it bring you?" And the fox says, "It brought me a lot because of the color of the wheat field." You know, so when the sorrow is gone, I'm so happy that I got to know you. You know, that kind of message. It's so like pearls. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I made several paintings on those lines in the book. And then the exhibit was called Beyond Words. So it goes beyond the words. So I took the pages from the book and pasted them right beside the painting so that people could read where the paintings came from. And yeah. It's nice. I'm still working on some of them. I'm still working on The Little Prince.
I think it's just a fantastic homage to like the author. Yeah. I mean, imagine like this little masterpiece. I've got it right here. That you know, Antoine. Help me, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Yeah, and think about like he wrote this when in the 1900s or something like that.
Well, not 1900, but a little bit half in the century, 1946 or 50, somewhere around there.
Okay.
But it's it's a very high translated book in the world, eh?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, to think about a human being existing and then later on in life, the story is carried on.
I know. Yeah. It's sort of timeless. Some things in the book you feel like, oh, that would never be written this time at the moment, but most of it is so timeless.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Tell me about, I know that you've done a lot of work with going back to actually art therapy.
Yeah.
And I know in speaking with you, there have been, it continues to be invited back into your life when people ask you to receive their support. And I'm wondering if you can speak on that.
Yeah, well, what I said, sometimes just people jump out in a classroom that you feel like, oh, there's a bit more needed than making a painting. But it also worked for myself out when I moved to Canada, and especially to Vancouver. I was pretty distressed by the people on the streets. Like, what is going on? Why are so many here? And I talked with a friend, and she says, well, actually, there's something happening. People are helping out. They're some organization doing great things, you should come. So I came to a gathering of people that, like a fundraising gathering. And I thought, this sounds okay. I can offer a 6-week course. So I started offering painting courses for 6 weeks to people in a drop-in center, a resource center of Coast Mental Health. So those are people that came either straight from the streets, or they were in social housing, but they all had some kind of mental illness. That's why they were there, and they needed help there. And it so opened my eyes, and I made so many friends there that 6 weeks became 14 years. And every week I would go there and paint with them.
Wow.
Yeah, who would have known, eh?
Yeah.
So it was really, really nice time. So I made friends with people that are still my friends. And I could see them on the street and be like, oh, good to see you. How are you doing with your art? And some of them have become professional artists, and some of them are my helpers when I install art shows. Yeah, they're real friends. And I came in not as a therapist, but I came in as an artist. And that was important to me, and it was important to them. I think a lot of the people I worked with at Coast Mental Health had no idea that I was also a therapist. Maybe they wouldn't even have become such good friends if they would have known. You know what I mean? Because it feels often, oh, she's going to explain my paintings, or, she's going to change what I'm doing. And that's totally not what I was there for, and totally not my start anyway. So, yeah.
Yes. So how can people, to me, art is imperative. I think it's so, enriching, and, like you're saying, like right now during COVID, art is actually, it's saving people's lives in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
How would you say, what opportunity has presented itself for art to be seen in a different kind of way?
Like at the moment, you mean?
At the moment, yeah, at the moment.
Well, when you look at Instagram, there is a lot of art coming on every day. Maybe that's because I'm following a lot of art, but there's a lot of people who've never done art who now start making art, or people who admire art. Like if you don't make art, you can still get the nurturing from art by looking at art and getting the comfort of art, or falling in love and getting the dopamine of falling in love by just looking at art. They found that people that look at art, let's say in museums, they found out how good it is, how nurturing that is, how it builds people up. That they started bringing, let's say, groups of elderly to museums. Maybe about those programs. Well, now on the internet, we can take virtual tours through the Rijksmuseum and through the Pompidou and through, Rome, and we can just look in cathedrals and look at ceilings without having people around. And we can get the same awe that you get when you are actually there, or almost the same.
Right.
Yeah, so I think at the moment the world became smaller. So we can travel to, let's say, Cairo and to Istanbul and to, places that otherwise maybe were too expensive to go to. We can now explore.
Right, virtually.
Virtually, yes. Yeah. And then share with a friend, like, hey, look at this. And there's some beautiful movies going around too, with artwork in it about COVID. They had movies with people in paintings that were bored, like all these people bored and reading. And then later the music changes a little bit, and you get paintings of people hugging and big crowds. And very sweet little movies that are made so well. So people are creative in translating their feelings into art and then communicating with others. Communication is great through art.
Right. What I'm hoping that after this is done, that the government actually funds our art programs more here in the province.
Yes, me too.
I mean, that's
highly needed.
You need it?
Highly, everybody. All the artists need it highly, because our rents are so high in Vancouver. Art studios are so hard to get by. Any affordable art studio is so hard to find. It's often a taped out little area on a floor that you have to share with 20 other people. yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to create your art in art areas here. Yeah, I hope that the government also sees that they could see the value of art and yeah, give give because of that, support the art.
How has this experience with COVID affected you, either positively or, you know, negatively, or neither? I'm assuming that it's affected you in some way or another.
Well, it changed my life big time. The first 2 weeks we were completely at home and isolated, so my only contact was through the screen. I offered virtual classes, and some people have signed up for that. So I'm doing some virtual painting classes, which is totally new for me. I haven't done that before, but it seems to work, and people are happy, and so that is something we can keep going on. But let's say working at my studio and sharing my artwork at the studio by having visitors come in and sell my work, that is totally still. It's quiet, nothing happening. So it means that I don't know how long I can pay for my studio. So that's part of this time that anybody, of course, it's a luxury to have a studio. I know that. You know, it's already a luxury to have an apartment. I'm very happy that I have this. But you know, it would be great to have a place where I can work. And I'm not sure if that's in the future still possible. So we'll see. But that has changed a lot. My perspective on what it means for me to be an artist has changed. I use Instagram. I use Facebook. I use those canals more than I did before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then my art tours, of course. Luckily, I haven't planned anything for this year. That would have been a nightmare. But even the one for next year is sort of on a very thin thread because, you know, I don't know when this will lift so we can start doing our information nights. I want to give people time for installments. What does the euro do? What does the Canadian dollar do? How can I, you know, do this all? So it might be possible that this is over.
Oh, that's so sad to hear. Oh God.
But it was over in a good time. Like last year was really wonderful. So, you know, for everything there is a time.
This is true. There's a beautiful quote by you that I heard on the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to use my glasses to read it. It says that, you know, with regards to your painting it out of my system. So when you have a thought or you see something, you feel like you have to paint it out of your system. And I just thought that was so lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is exactly what happens in the studio. And that I don't do with other people around me. That's me and my painting. That's my connection with the painting. When I put paint on the canvas, that's when it starts to get flowing out of my heart onto the canvas. And that's really, I'm working through an issue, a topic, a theme, a line out of a book, and yes, and then I get it out of my system. And I know when that's done. When the painting is finished, it's when that issue or that line out of the book is completed. It's there. It's out of me onto the canvas.
I love that. I'm wondering actually if this particular situation is going to pull you back into art therapy because post-COVID, or as we, go through this experience, and we're all experiencing some level of trauma, if I might say it that way.
Yeah.
And that is a collective, that there's something to be said about that. And I can't, if you think about it, it's kind of overwhelming. And I also think about our ancestors and the things that they've gone through with the world wars and the famines. I'm thinking, like, we've just walked it really quite with ease in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, and no life is perfect, but just to kind of even have a sense of what they've gone through. This is a different kind of war.
Yeah.
If you want to call it that. But I'm wondering if you can speak on the after effects of what you think you might see, and I'm pretty sure that you'll be called again to serve.
something will happen. But what for sure will happen, what happens now already, is of course adjustments. We need to adjust. You know, the strongest people in the world are not the people with the muscles or the people with a lot of money. It's the people that actually can adjust, that are willing to go with the flow. So when this is all over, the world won't be the same. People say, "Oh, we're so happy when everything is normal again." Well, it will be a new normal. It won't be the same normal as we knew. There will be before COVID and after COVID. There will be stores that will be forever closed. Your yoga studio might not be open and never open anymore. You know what I mean? Things will be changed. So I guess that will help. Will ask people for help sometimes, because some people are easier in adjustments than others. Some people grab to what they know and hold on very fast, very strongly, so that they cannot go with the flow. They have to almost be compulsive in what they're doing, and so they have to have a little bit of help breaking through that. So I can imagine that there is post anxiety, that there is still fear, like, okay, we didn't know about COVID when it happened, so what is happening now that we don't know? There's a lot of conspiracy happening at the moment already. People are like watching all these weird videos and they're getting all wired up. So that won't be right away out of their system. If they're doing that now, that won't stop right away. That will be in their system. They will look over the shoulder, like a little bit paranoia, like, what's happening? Why are people doing this? Or what's the government doing? Or you know what I mean?
How are you handling it? That part, like your emotional health in that way, with the flow?
I think adjusting to a new normal, making a routine, making a daily rhythm with exercise and creativity, by picking up something new that I've never done before, by connecting with friends, having time by myself, like a balance of different things.
Yes.
And then at night we would, let's say, watch Netflix a little bit, or read a book, but not a whole day reading a book, or not a whole day reading Netflix, and not a whole day doing exercise. But more like a routine. So that was my way of finding myself there. But it didn't happen right away. A few days were for sure weird, different, very different. It's sort of a mirror, who we are. And we don't have much to ask except ourselves. We bump into ourselves way more now than we did before. We cannot run away from it much.
And use like various distractions, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even going shopping or going to work and dive into work, there can be a way of distraction and a way of not looking at yourself. And while we are now at home so much, we are way more confronted with ourselves, our own behavior. What makes us angry? What makes us irritated? What makes us happy? What makes us relaxed? And what doesn't make us relaxed? You know? Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah. There were jokes on social media about how women in particular were saying how, what we're going to look like in the next few months if we don't get to our hairdressers and stuff.
I already have some hats in my closet.
Oh, you're prepared, are you?
Prepared.
Awesome.
I found some. I thought, oh, those are perfect. So sort of inside little toque things, perfect.
Yeah.
Mine is a bit complicated to do it myself, I think. I don't know.
Oh, you could do it easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's your.
Maybe we do it like this. I do it, and you give me instructions.
Okay. Yeah. I'll wear my mask and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, but we couldn't do it over Zoom, I mean.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. I wanted to share with the audience, given that we're coming from Vancouver, and we have a homelessness issue here.
Yeah.
And the words that you've described it when you first encountered homelessness. And again, I'm just going to put my glasses on because you said stuff like looking through their eyes. Obviously, if someone, it was their bedroom, their wallpaper. And I'm wondering how that touched you.
Well, first I saw people on the streets, too many. I got angry. Then I started working at Coast Mental Health, and it helped my anger because I felt I could do something.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I became friends with them. I started talking and listening mainly to what they were telling me. And I suddenly looked at back alleys and streets another way. When I see a warm, like what do you call those, I don't know, rafters where steam comes out, you think, oh, that would be a place to sleep. It's funny, but because of that, I
yeah.
started looking differently. So a back alley is, for me, the walls there is not just interesting and cool with the graffiti on it, but it's also for me like, yeah, that is someone's bedroom. This is someone's wallpaper. This is where they choose maybe to sleep. They will go like, is this safe here? Can I be here tonight? Yeah, looks like it's okay here. If I go close to this garbage container and, close to the wall, maybe with my cardboard, I got a bit more idea, not really, because I've never lived on the streets. What do I know? But just by listening, hearing stories, and asking every now and then, and being introduced, I started looking with different eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I started making that painting touched. So it really, really touched me.
Right.
And touched is linking to me being touched.
Yes.
And the walls and the environment being touched by people.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't happen by itself. A back alley was never made the way they don't look now. They slowly became that way through rain and ice and cars and people. So they are touched. So the environment is touched, and I'm touched by the people. No.
Do you see them as victims, or how do you see them as an artist?
As artists.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I did say, like in my intro, that we're all storytellers, and maybe in this life, this is what's required of them. I don't know. I can't judge the situation.
No, and you cannot ask or answer so general, because
Yes.
so many different people, so many different backgrounds. But what I know is that we're all very, very close. Some people are only like one paycheck away. Some people are maybe a year away from it. But the stories that I heard were so common. Just breaking up with a girlfriend, becoming depressed, becoming severely depressed, losing your job because of it, then losing your home because of it, and then ending on the street.
Right.
Yeah? So it's such a fine line. And when your load on your shoulders is heavier than your shoulders are strong, it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have very strong shoulders, they can have more. Some people get very small packages, but their shoulders are very small. Mm-hmm. They cannot handle that much. Mm-hmm. So it's so personal.
Yes, yes. Well, it's speaking to you today, and just going onto your site and looking all the beautiful stories that you've told through your exhibits and through your art. There's definitely been a thread to your life, and it's been lovely to observe and witness. And thank you so much. And I just wanting to know if there's anything else that you'd like to share with our audience today as we move through the world today with COVID, and how we can just help sustain ourselves during this time.
Well, I would say search for art. Search for art right now in your living room. Look around and see what gives you pleasure and how can you make that more part of your life. Is it making art? Is it surrounding yourself with more art? Is it looking at more art? Just fill it up and fill yourself with beauty. And it will give comfort. It will give you what you're looking for, I think.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. And I'll put Jeanne's details there for information if you want to connect with her. And if you have any questions for Jeanne, just type away. Have a great day, and thanks so much.